raised and where my grandkids now live and my oldest son. Most restrictive gun laws in the nation. We look at Detroit, we look at Washington, D.C., we look at New York, we look at places that have total restrictions on guns, and yet the most violent crimes that are taking place using guns happen there. The city of Chicago is being overrun with gun violence now, and yet...
Actually, Detroit's gun crime rate has gone down.
Way there.
Not percentage of population.
Well, the population...
The issue is, if you regulate guns, you regulate one population of person. That's the law-abiding citizen.
Nobody's going to go and take away anybody's
The law-abiding
guns.
citizens aren't causing the problems now. It's the violent criminals.
The myth is, people believe and have been told by Tea Party people, really conservative people, that the government is a slippery slope, that the government is going to come and take your guns. That's not going to happen.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Next question, right here.
Obama favors E15. I do not. I want E10 or less in the gasoline. That stuff's no good. He doesn't know what he's doing, which is normal. So anyway, that's my issue there.
Well, sadly, there are even some Republicans that favor E15 and beyond.
It's not good.
But I hear what you're saying. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill to do away with the renewable fuel standards. I'm not opposed to ethanol. I don't want it in my Harley. I don't want it in my chainsaw. I don't want it in my 1952 Evinrude 7.5 horse motor either. Because it doesn't work. It hurts those engines. General Motors, Ford, Chrysler have all come out saying, if you go beyond E10, we will not warranty our engines. That's saying something. The other side of the ledger is if any alternative fuel, renewable or otherwise, any alternative fuel works, well, let's have at it. But it's got to show at some point in time it can stand on its own. Ethanol hasn't shown that. And when you have the food industry, bakers, and others who are decrying the fact of the increased cost that is put on them because of ethanol, that takes away some of their stream and increases the cost of the stream for their baking products, for instance. In my district, several of the major bakeries, Dawn Foods, and Aunt Millie's, and others, they can show because not only the taking away from the food chain of these products and increasing the price, but also the extra cost of fuel to transport their goods because of this. So we need all of the above energy plan in this country. We don't have an energy plan right now except depletion. We need a full all of the above energy plan that says anything that works, let's move with it, but let it stand on its own. And that includes ethanol, if it works. That includes wind and solar. That includes coal. That includes natural gas. That includes oil. That includes nuclear power. All of the above, and anything else we can come up with. Given that opportunity, the creative mind of America, I think, will ultimately, at the right point in time, find something that works better than what we have now. So.
Those wind turbines up in Mount Pleasant, the one half of them that aren't rotating because they're broken.
Wind doesn't go all the time.
Not a good example.
But the cost of wind power is going down.
Yeah.
And in certain cases it will work, but Douglas Steel can't do what they do at their plant on wind power. We won't go to a second question yet. So you got to help me out. We've got plenty of hands going up. Let's go to this side of the room, this lady here.
I'm wondering what programs and policies you'd like to see changed so that people, both in the United States and abroad, who work full-time, can earn a living wage, support their families, have a place to live.
I can't talk about people abroad because we don't have policies there. But here we do. The only way we can get people to a living wage in this country is to expand the opportunity for jobs through competition, through reduced unnecessary taxation and regulation. As I talked to the guys at Douglas Steel, for instance, the biggest concern or the biggest problem that comes to them about having jobs that are now being taken and given over to China or India or South Korea or Mexico, do we have a seat here? Is not so much the fact of the cost of employment, because more and more we're finding out that if you want quality, and if you want things that are efficient and up to speed, you don't wait for China to produce it. You do it right here. But the major reason why we're sending it to China or other countries is because of the high cost, regulatory costs, and tax costs on our own businesses. And so in order to be competitive with those other countries, they will ship off certain of their jobs there, which impacts us. Our policy, for instance, Obamacare. Right now, we're seeing the loss of jobs and the loss of hours on jobs all across this country. The number of businesses I've talked to this last week, and the number of people that are calling our office, like the 59-year-old lady who calls and says, this was 6 weeks ago, in tears. This morning, I was told by my Albion home health care provider employer that I work for that they're reducing me from my part-time 38 hours, which has always been, part-time is under 40 hours. Now it's changed in Obamacare to 30 hours being full-time, 30 or more. I've been now reduced, as of this morning, 28 hours. My other job that I got to fulfill the 40 hours plus that I need, pay my mortgage, pay for my health care, at Arcadia Brewing in Battle Creek, can't make up the difference. So in tears, she said, how am I going to pay for my mortgage? And then how am I going to buy my own health insurance, since I will have to pay for it myself?
Okay, so you've gotten at exactly the kind of person that I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
People who are doing these jobs that need to be
Yeah.
done and they're not making enough money to buy their own health insurance.
Exactly.
And